How can one year simultaneously be the best year of your life and the worst year of your life? Well, if you ask me, that's how my 2025 was. And let me just say, for all of the ups I've had this year, every single one of them had it down. 2025. What a year. If you want to understand why 2025 was a good and a bad year, we need to bring you back to 2024. Because 2024 is probably my favorite year yet. And it's primarily thanks to the summer of 2024. Now, the summer of 2024 had me doing two things. One was going out to Chicago with Luke, and two was working at a theme park. Normally, working at a theme park wouldn't be, like a high, ooh, this was so awesome type of thing, but for me, it was. Because for me, I was running around constantly, I was having fun, and I was actually really enjoying work. And I was getting paid enough to where when we saw that Scott the Woz had an event going on at the Vic in Chicago on July 13th, both of us looked at each other and instantly said yes. We bought tickets, we bought a flight, and we also had an Airbnb. This was a lot of fun, but it was also really stressful because for me, it's my first time flying out alone with a friend. And for Luke, it was his first time flying out ever. I don't know why he chose to do that with me, but we had fun. First day, we essentially just kind of rested for a little bit of it, and then we went to downtown Chicago where we met with Pablo. And we also saw the Bean. Now, the Bean is something that I do actually have memorabilia for.
Bean.
And that's probably my favorite part of the initial Chicago trip. Though, on Saturday, we did actually go by the Trump Towers hours before there was an attempt on him. I don't know how coincidental that was, but, From there, we had the show. Now, the show was excellent. Luke actually got a pre-show nomination because essentially what this show was an award show. And Luke somehow got nominated. Now, what was he nominated for? Well, I can't really tell you. I have to show you.
We asked people what their favorite cat from the classic musical/movie Cats was.
Yeah.
So we're pretty knowledgeable on all these cats,
Right.
Me, you, and Eric have seen Cats a couple of times.
Right.
What did you think of these submissions?
Yeah, pretty good overall. There was a lot of wide range of the actual cats.
Yeah, a lot of this was just fluff. So I'm just fast forwarding a lot of this to where Luke gets involved with it.
Next up, Luke Sheridan. He just submitted the entire Mr. Mistopheles song in lyric form,
That's cool.
which I liked. Yeah,
That's cool.
I liked seeing that.
What are you thinking of that?
Yeah.
That's not a cat.
It says Mr. Mistopheles a lot. The song does.
That's a song.
It says, "Oh well, I never was there ever. A
Would you
cat
name
so
a
clever
cat?
as magical Mr. Mistopheles."
Would you name a cat a full song? You have to call it by saying
I'd hyphenate it.
You have to say the entire song. when
I'd
calling.
hyphenate it.
Yeah. Now, unfortunately, he didn't win, but we actually somehow ran into the guy who won later on that night. Still don't know how, but we managed to get onto the same train at the same time. And yeah, that was Chicago. Since the next day, we literally had to be out of the Airbnb by 3 a.m. because we had a flight to catch.
It's too early for this, dude.
What do you think about the chance of our flight being delayed?
Huh?
Once all that was done, I got back to work. And work was still so much fun. I don't know what it is, but working with people who eventually became friends is probably one of the best experiences you can get. Especially when you're still friends with a lot of them to the extent. Now we should talk about October, because October was when I started scaring the hell out of kids, because that was another thing I did, because I get paid to do it and I have too much fun doing it. October of 2024 was awesome. I don't know what it is, but scaring the hell out of kids was so much fun. Now, there was one downside to it, and that was the fact that I was essentially losing my voice every weekend, meaning that it was really hard to actually participate in some of my classes I was in, and at the same time, it was also really hard trying to make a video. Last time on the Linux Challenge. Honestly, Windows hasn't gone better. Not at all. By the time that my voice would recover, it would be the weekend, and I'd already be ruining it again. Now, even with that in mind, I loved it. Just the thrill of being inside of a haunted house and scaring the hell out of people is awesome. It's one of those things where as soon as you start doing it, you can never let it go. For me, I started doing it when I was young. Like, I'd say 7 or 8. I started doing it inside of a local haunt called Cave. I still did that in 2024, but the fun part of it was the fact that this was all happening at the same time that I was in the band and that I was also, working. Which that was where things did get a little bit stressful because I was working 2 jobs at the same time that sometimes had conflicting hours. But usually it was fine. Though I did not like waking up early in the morning to then work till midnight. That wasn't fun. But on the upside of that, it did help me get a consistent sleep schedule, which as of 2026, I do not have at all. I do kind of miss those days where I actually had something for sleep. And that was October of 2024, and truthfully, that was the rest of the year, because 2024 wasn't really all that crazy afterwards. Now, I did see a few shows throughout the year, but that was really it. And the shows I did see were just the shows that were happening at the park, because Canby had some really cool shows. They had Generation Idol, which was so much fun. I saw that with one of my friends from the park, and that was a blast. Like, that's all I can really say about 2024, was that it was a blast. Now let's talk about 2025, because 2025 starts off the same exact way. The start of 2025 was just like the start to any other year. TikTok was banned for a day, I was looking to start my own Linux challenge, and I filmed 2 bands as part of a job for SNHU. That was really it. Now, where things really started to get crazy was towards the middle of the year. Because in the middle of the year, I was taking part inside of a studio class. Now, this studio class was essentially all about managing a brand, and the brand that we were managing was the WFA. We were essentially helping them promote an event that's happening on campus. Now, while I was doing this, I was essentially doing the same exact thing, but with the funk group that I was part of, and I was also working on this YouTube channel. I was working as a part-time employee, and don't forget that I'm a full-time student. So I was doing all of these things at the same time. How I didn't get burnt out is amazing. Maybe I felt that later, but for the time being, I was having so much fun. But when things really took a turn was when I found out that the wrestling gig was at the same exact day as the funk band gig. And then when I found out that these 2 gigs were 1 hour apart from each other and were happening across the campus from each other. So I was going to be ending the funk band gig and then running over to wrestling. How I managed this, I don't know. I think that working at a theme park over the summer just gave me super speed. Because if it wasn't for that, I have no clue how I would have been able to get over there. But that wrestling gig was really fun. I have so many photos of that, to a point where I'm still trying to clean up my Google Drive from the amount of photos I have. That part of the year was so much fun. Like, that is one half of why 2025 was the best year yet. Now, the other half, well, the other half was interesting, to say the least. Summer of 2025 had me starting right back up at Canby like for the 2nd year in a row. Now, this was a lot of fun. However, I ran into a few different issues. Firstly, 2 days before orientation for Canby, my car died on the way home from an internship. Now, if that wasn't a sign for the way that the rest of the year went, I don't know what is. Because later on, I was at the park, my car was in the parking lot, and somehow while in the park, someone dinged the side of my car, which is brand new, and then ran. Within the first month of me owning my new car, it got hit. That's essentially what I went into the summer season with. It wasn't all bad this summer. There's a lot of things that actually did go well. I celebrated out with my dad, and the day after I went down to Canby to be an extra for their commercials. And that was a lot of fun. I was essentially there to ride some rides and get some free tickets. And once that was all said and done, I started my shift at the park. Somehow managing to work all day while being on like 5 hours of sleep was not a lot of fun, but also it didn't really faze me at all. Like, I don't really have much to talk about from that day of things going wrong. And that was honestly so much fun, to the point where if they asked me to do it again, I would gladly. And another thing that was a lot of fun was that Fine Fine actually sponsored a video. Yeah. Fine Fine sponsored a video on the K688, which I'd love to be using right now, but I'm not in the studio. I don't know why, but for some reason it took me 2 months to make that video. I guess my ADHD just wanted to activate and just procrastinate and get distracted 20 billion times while working on it. But yeah, and I guess that could also be why I never released this video, which was the search for unlimited games, which I did with Luke. And I don't know why I didn't release that. Same with Mind Time and a few of the other things I did in the summer. In fact, here's just a montage clip of some of those things that I did. You ready for first place? Epic Gaming?
I am.
Never been there?
I've never.
How are you feeling? Are you hyped?
I'm feeling nervous. I got never mind. I was gonna make a really bad joke, but
When she flew him on my log.
Current mine line. None. 7 times.
Yo, this is
Eighth. Yep. Yeah. Eighth. Yep.
How are you losing now?
I'm not. I'm just stupid today. Yeah. When I'm for 8th time, yeah. I don't know anymore. Now, I'm thinking I might release those at some point. Maybe on Patreon? Who knows? Links in the description. Let's continue on to the start of the 2025-2026 school year. Because that was fun, but also was a lot. Let's go. Those last few months for 2026 are probably the busiest that I've had yet, and that's primarily because of the fact that I was scaring the hell out of kids, I was part of a new band called Amped, and I was also still working with the other bands I was a part of. Now, with this came a lot of stress. Like, I mean a lot of stress. Because trying to do 10 songs on top of 10 other songs on top of 10 other songs is a hell of a lot of work. But it was still so worth it. In fact, here's a clip of me playing an amp. Now, before we did this amped gig, we actually had a show in October, which this show was awesome. It was the inauguration of the SNHU president. Now, the thing that was really cool with this was that this was the first time that I was actually on a stage at this new arena, and I was playing vibraphone. Now, this was nerve-wracking to say the least, primarily because of the fact that the only times I've ever played at this arena was when I was in the back of a band, back of percussion section playing cymbals on Pump and Circumstance, because, you know, of course we did. And yeah, there's just something about this gig that made it a lot of fun, but it was also really stressful because the night before was sound check, and also I got a haircut because, well, let's face it, this just looks bad. Like, this compared to this, yeah, it's a 9-day difference. And yeah, like that was a lot of fun. Now, that weekend was homecoming weekend. And homecoming weekend, well, let's just say it took a turn for the worse. Because the start of it was actually really fun. We started off by filming a bunch of bands and stuff that were in the pub and a bunch of other things that were happening on campus. But the thing that really killed me was death. Because death played a huge part in what made 2025 the worst year yet. Death played a major role in what made 2025 the best and the worst year yet. In October, 2 days after the inauguration gig, I learned of the passing of one of my friends from way back when. And this killed me. Primarily because of the fact that it was an unexpected death that happened to him at a young age of 22. Now, even with the fact that I didn't really talk to him much towards the end of his life, I wish that I did. Because he was a good kid. And the fact that death can happen to anyone, even at a young age, and especially unexpectedly, destroyed me. I am glad that I learned of this while I was working a homecoming event and doing some filming for some of the bands that were in the pub. Because if I wasn't, I would have been inside of probably the worst mental state ever. Honestly, throughout this, I'm just glad that people are around me. Because if I didn't, that would have killed me. like mentally and emotionally, I would have been screwed. And look, I know losing a friend by any means hurts, but losing one unexpectedly due to death hurts so much more. And yeah, the fact that I learned about this 2 days after the huge inauguration gig also put a sting on that event. Primarily because the fact that that was the day that he passed. I'm just glad that I didn't learn about it on the day, because that would have killed my mood during the entire performance. I'm just glad that instead it killed my mood during homecoming weekend, which is honestly something I didn't really care too much about. And this wasn't even the only death that happened this year to someone who was relatively close. This year, the day after my Wind Symphony concert, I lost my cat, Eubie. Now, Eubie was special, only because of the fact that we've had him for so many years. In fact, when he passed, he was 1 year younger than I was. He was 19. And just the final months of his life was when we were finally able to reconnect and to finally get back together. And to where we finally reconciled all the differences that we had, because me and him never really got along that well. I'm glad that we were finally able to towards the end of his life. And I'm also really glad that I was able to catch some of his final moments on the stream. By that, I don't mean his passion or anything like that. I mean the fact that I was able to at least get him on camera, even if it's just me playing games and him sitting inside of a chair in the background. He would always try to take my chair, which honestly, I was fine with. By this point, I had a standing desk, so chairs weren't really anything that I needed. And yeah, so this still killed me. And about while I was working on something, and it killed me for the rest of the week. I'm still hurting from this death. It's something to where, after these two deaths, I considered therapy just to talk things over, just to figure out what the hell to do with it, and just figure out how to process shit, because I still am terrible at it. The last time two deaths happened to me at around the same exact time was back in 2021, during the years of COVID. And it was passing of my grandfathers. Now, these didn't sting me as much as I thought it would, but looking back on it, it did. Because I think that's why I struggled with processing death. Because the first death happened while I was in the middle of filming, and it was something that I don't even know how to process still. You can actually see in the video how drastically my mood changed. It's why I unlisted the video eventually. It was a sponsored video that I did with Java, which didn't do all too well, but the thumbnail and title was terrible. I'm kind of glad it didn't do that well, because I'd much rather not have people see that part of me. And yeah, I don't know what it is, but death just loves to bite me whenever I don't want it to. Always after something huge that happens in life. And yeah, I think this is where I bring you guys back to the dorm to transition you guys into where we talk about the rest of the year. Because the rest of the year, it went good. Things actually went really well. You know, looking back on everything while filming this video, I realized something. I realized that 2025 wasn't really all that bad. There was actually a ton of good things that happened this year. I performed in a band multiple times throughout the year. I went up north with my dad for an entire week. I scared the crap out of kids a lot. And yeah, I guess the amount of bad things that happened in 2025 really clouded my judgment on the rest of the year. I think that the lesson that I learned from this, and the lesson that I think anyone can learn, is that no amount of bad things should overcloud the good. Because there's always going to be something that comes up the sleeve at the end of the year that really changes everything. And for me, well, the choice of having a green light in the background here, that was very much intentional. And that's because at the last literal day of the year, Kik sent me an email reaching out for a partnership. Yes, that's right. Kik sent me, this guy with not even 1,000 subscribers on anything, partner. How did I get this email? I don't know. Straight up, I do not know why they chose me for this partnership deal. But truthfully, I'm really glad that they did, because that deal came in when I needed it the most. Because I was really struggling during that break. During the summer break was probably where I started to realize I needed to get some help. And through that, I started looking, didn't really find anything, but what I did do instead is I got some medication to kind of help me out with some of this stuff. And so far it has. Like, I think if it wasn't for that, I would probably be in a much worse mental state right now. And I guess this is where I talk about the future of the channel. Because with the fact that I'm now a partner on Kick, you'd think that that'd mean more streams, less videos, right? Well, it's going to mean more streams, yes, but it's also going to mean more videos, because I'm going to need a video now to promote the fact that I'm streaming, right? Like, that's just kind of how that stuff works. So, this is that video to promote that I'm going to be live on Kick tomorrow night at, let's say, 11 p.m. We're going to be streaming until probably around 1 a.m. And yeah, we're going to be having fun, we're going to be playing bass, we're going to be playing some games, we're going to be trying out some behind the scenes from this video. And I know that Kick seems like that it's not really a great platform to be a partner of, but truthfully, no other platform is right now. I mean, YouTube's gone downhill, and I'm actually starting to work on another video for that, so keep an eye out for that. Twitch is just, I don't know, Twitch is in a weird place right now. They're trying, but they're also failing at the same time. And Kick just kind of seemed the only place left that really everyone stopped talking about. So I thought, you know what? Fuck it. Let's go with Kick. And that's where we are today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Catch me live on Kick at 11 p.m., maybe earlier, maybe 10, depending on when I get out of Wind Symphony tomorrow. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Peace out.